So,
Right.
Diego Bolanos.
It's been a long time since we wanted to do this podcast, I think. Just talk about the journey and stuff. So, yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Excited for it.
I think people have seen you on our social media. We've been through a lot. We've travelled across the whole of the UK.
Traveled more than I thought I would ever travel any country, to be fair. But
You're an expert in the UK geography now, aren't you?
yeah, no, it's crazy. I'm bad with geography, but in the UK, I think I'm getting better at it.
And essentially, I guess the reason we're doing this is I want people to know you and your story and what you've done and what you've been through. Because I think, in my opinion, you don't give yourself enough credit for what you've achieved and how far you've come.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, what can I say?
Let's go back.
Yeah.
So, who is Diego? What is Diego? And most importantly, how did you end up here in the UK? And what we'll do after is we'll give context about how we met. So don't go into that, but tell us before that point.
So who's Diego? I think the best way I can describe myself is just someone that has always been open-minded about everything in life, just as in opportunities, meeting people, jobs I've had to do in the past, which I'll cover a bit. But in essence, how I came to the UK was because in my country, it's called El Salvador, and it is.
Where's Salvador?
Salvador's in Central America, but before now it's getting better in terms of how safe it is. But before it was very rough in terms of gang members, and basically gangs used to run the country. Now, for me growing up, it was something that you get used to it. You know, you get used to hearing about all the killings, hearing about all
that must have affected you though, no?
It does, but because you're born in that environment, it does. Like, it is part of your
DNA,
day to day. You know, it's like, yes, you see it. Yes, it's like it's something that impacts you in a certain way. But at the same time, it's like you just get used to it in a way.
Yeah.
Now, because we lived in the safer side of the country, let's say, it was never a real issue for us. We did have some trouble, like burglaries and stuff like that we did experience, but nothing crazy as you see someone getting decapitated or is dead, or
and that happens a lot, or happened a lot in Salvador.
It used to happen a lot, just on a daily basis.
That's insane.
But then my family used to have a couple of businesses, so let's say that we lived in that safer side of the country until we basically got targeted, as in because of the business that we were running. And when you have like call it a successful business, the probability of people like trying to get money out of you, and then I don't know the exact translation in English, but it's called a rent. So basically someone targets you, like a gang member targets you or your business or whatever, and then they say, oh, you'll be paying from now on, let's say $500 a week or a month. And
so it's obviously not by the law. They just go in there, see a successful business, and put a price.
Yeah, definitely not by the law. It's something that is just
because they wanna.
Because they wanna, just because they've seen who you are, what you do, and whatever. Yeah. And it happens it's not even just to call rich people. It can be even to poor people that drive buses. Like, it's called like the rent, basically. The rent. So in this case, like, they go to like someone that drives a bus, and they say, from now on, every time you stop in this X location or area, you're gonna give me $5. And for someone that drives a bus, that's a lot. Every time they go through. Anyway, my whole point is that we got targeted as well, and that's where things started to get a bit tricky for us, because I have a little sister. At the time, she was 9-10 years old. I was 18, so I was literally just finishing school. I was thinking about what are my next steps. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna study? I did, in fact, before I continue with the story, I did in fact apply for a university in Spain, in Santander.
Oh, really? Wow.
I got admitted. Then COVID came, and just it was meant to be. But COVID came. I was about to fly to Santander to start studying. I was about to study a career that, now that I think about it, I don't know where I would be, because it was studying about like how the process of like foods come from like a cow to the cheese to all of these. Like, I don't even know the name of that career. That's how not interested I was. I think Did
you just do it because it was what society tells you to do, that, don't it?
Yeah. So
go to job, go to uni, get a degree.
To be completely honest, in my head it was, I just want to move out of, let's say, Central America. I want to go abroad. I want to
go to Europe,
study something. And then you always have in the back of your mind, I want to make money.
Yeah.
And it sounded like a career that's quite profitable.
Yeah.
I said I'm going to learn a lot, but then deep inside of me, I knew that was not something I was going to go for. But I said, let's do it. Fuck it. I'll just go for it. Anyway, COVID came, lasted for like a month in the career. Then I decided to suck it off because I said, there's no way I'm going to learn all the math, all the literature, whatever you have to do. Anyway, that came, and during that period of time where COVID was happening, I was starting to study in this university. We started to get this problem that we started to get targeted until the day came where and this was the day, because we've been thinking about, we need to live, we need to move out of country now. We thought we're gonna do it someday, but we have to do it soon because this problem is happening now.
It was getting worse.
And it was getting worse, but it was not something imminent as saying, let's move tomorrow. Like we said, let's give ourselves a month.
We'll plan it out, do what we need to do, but no rush.
Exactly. Let's see where we can go. Let's see what opportunity we can, we can decide, like, where can we go, basically.
And what countries were you thinking about, just out of interest?
So we have a lot of family that live in, in the US, for example, in Houston, some people in Atlanta, and they all have like their own businesses and stuff. So it was just like, maybe we can go there. But then it all came because my dad one day said, I know someone that works in the UK similar to what he was doing, which was like a psychologist that he knew about. But again, he had no clue. We've never been to the UK before. So again, it was like a new ground for us.
Yeah.
So that was something that he just mentioned, right? And I was like, the UK, like, I've heard about London, I've heard about, definitely not about Leeds.
Man United.
Definitely heard about Huddersfield Town.
Or Wakefield.
But I heard about London, so in my head it was like, the big city, where dreams come true, as they say about.
Everyone sees London as this, the red buses and the Big Ben and the big eyes and all this kind of stuff.
I need to give some credit to it, to be fair, because it's, when you come here, it's like, it's beautiful.
It's a beautiful city.
But
it's not a true reflection of the UK.
Well, you know that more than me, but, after spending some time and traveling a couple of times to London, it's like, it's too fast for me. It's like living in New York, I suppose. Everything's too fast, too quick.
It's for me, it's nice to visit, nice to get inspired, but to live there, it's
just like a tie. Like, you go there, you do something, do some work, you come back to your hometown.
It's facts.
But anyway, so my dad just briefly mentioned it one day, and I was like, London sounds interesting, but again, I never thought it was going to happen. Until the day came that we were just traveling. We were coming back from church, I remember, and
Jesus,
Jesus was not on my side that day. No, I'm joking, but I think everything happened for a reason. And we're coming back from church, and literally, the most common way that you get, robbed in my country is, they drive bikes and then they stop you or they intersect you and then whatever.
Yeah.
So we were driving, and I remember that my dad just was seeing through the wind mirror, just like seeing like that. And then I was like, this is, I just felt like it's a bit weird. Basically, long story short, he received a phone call, which, because obviously the guys that we were being targeted by, they had contact with my dad, as in they were calling him to say, where's the money, what's happening, what's going on, we need to get paid. And if you don't get paid, what happens obviously is you, in a nutshell, you get killed, right? Because you don't comply.
That's crazy.
You don't comply with what they're saying.
Imagine getting told, if you don't give me this money, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, that's as easy as it gets.
That's insane.
And again, for us, it was something like, but we were in a safe place. We lived in a residential. We were safe. So let's say that we were okay, as I said.
Did you feel a bit untouchable, if you're honest?
Not untouchable at all.
No,
I feel that the only way that I felt quite safe was because my dad had a couple of just contacts all over, that if something happens that we can, for example, go away to X place and nobody would know that we're there, etc. But anyway, that day he received a phone call, and they literally told him, now that we know the full story, they just told him to stop the car. We need to like speak to you, basically. But that speaking was not speaking, I suppose, right?
It wasn't let's have a coffee, let's chat.
Have a chat, where we go from here. But that's where my dad just started speeding. That's where I and my sister and my mom that were in the car at the time, I realized that we've been chased.
Serious.
So my dad was just flying through the motorway. Obviously he took some streets and stuff until finally we managed to stop in a petrol station. He ran in for help, because in my country as well, it's very common to see out of, like, in petrol stations, malls,
police people,
pharmacies, not police people, but security
guards.
They're always armed.
Yeah.
So it was like that was our safe space at the time where he could stop, and someone was armed. He told them like, come here, we need your help.
Yeah.
We're being chased.
Yeah.
So that happened. Obviously.
How were you feeling when that was all happening?
It just didn't feel real.
Yeah.
It happened so fast that it's like when they say like, oh, what happened when you live this traumatic moment in your life. It was so fast.
It's like some out of a movie, innit?
It's like when you jump out of a plane, right?
Yeah.
With like a parachute, or you do some skydiving. Like you feel the moment is there, it's happening, but it happens so fast that you feel it's not real.
Yeah.
So I think it's happened the same thing. Of course, in my head, it was more of like a survival mode in my brain of saying, because you don't even think. That's the truth. You don't.
Did you like put your heads down? Were you
like? My sister was down. My mom was down.
That's crazy.
We were just thinking about, because we could definitely see the guns that they were having.
They had guns with them. 100%.
Yeah. So in all this moment, again, you don't think. In your head, it's just like, what's gonna happen? I'm just gonna react as and when things happen. But anyway, we stopped there. The guy came out. The security guy comes out. So for us, it was a time of like, all right, we're safe. So we could literally see the guys in the motorbikes just on the other side of the street.
So you were hidden inside the petrol station.
Yeah, so we literally, just as in the UK, the petrol station.
Yeah.
Put some petrol, but then there's like
the shop,
the shop.
Yeah.
So we parked like literally outside the shop, and then the guy. There's literally more than one guy, but in this instance, there was one guy outside just holding a gun as normal.
Yeah.
That's how it works in my country, and that happened, and the guy just came out and just stood by the car. I get another angel by God that just decided to put himself there, because normally.
He didn't have to protect you.
He doesn't have to protect me. You get me? So
fuck.
So that happens. We see the guys there until they start to see more, phone calls and stuff. Obviously, they can think about, oh, police is coming, and police. We've had to call the police. So that happens. The police comes. We filed a report, and that day we said, all right, we need to make a decision, and we need to go away, and we need to find another place to be, because it's not safe anymore.
I can't believe that. That's insane.
So.
Answer this question, sorry, before you carry on. I want to know, if that security guard hadn't been there, what do you think would have genuinely happened?
I think it would have been a completely different story. I can't tell you what would have happened, but
do you think you could have been shot at and killed?
Probably. My dad could have been taken, or
kidnapped,
or myself, or my sister, or my mom. But at the time, it was, again, I didn't even think about it at the moment. I was just like, this is what's happening. When is it gonna stop, basically?
Yeah.
So that happened. Again, I've always said I've had just small angels throughout my journey that have just appeared. One of them being you, in a way. We can say about that, but just angels that come. But in this instance, that security guy there was someone that was like, he was there for who knows why.
Shout out to that guy.
So
shout out to him.
God knows what was his name, but he definitely made a difference.
That's insane, mate.
And then I just want to keep it a bit short and concise. But after that,
came to England.
Yeah, we decided to come to England because that was just the safest place that we could think of, and in the quickest time that we could prepare papers. Obviously
process.
Give our stuff to the country for them to give us something back in terms of the paperwork that we have to do to be here, etc. So that happens. We come here, and before all of this happened, back in my country as well, I just want to say this before I carry on, is I was going through a really tough time mentally.
Yeah. It
had been about, maybe I was like 17, 18 when I started, but I developed like a very bad anxiety, very, very bad, to the point that I remember, and I always ask this to my mom when I can. I ask her just because it's so curious, and every time I have one more question to ask, but it had got to the point where I couldn't leave the house. Like
it was that bad.
Like the anxiety was not anxiety that, I feel something in my body. This is an anxiety that I'm telling you that
crippling.
I couldn't think straight. I was like literally just in my bed the whole day, couldn't move, couldn't go out. It was something that was consuming me to the point I thought, this is it.
Yeah.
I know I'm a strong-willed person, but I said, this is it.
Did you ever feel did suicide ever cross your mind?
It did cross my mind, but again, I never thought about doing it. Like, it came to the point where I thought, I'm too tired to continue.
Yeah.
My head is just playing
I'd rather just end it all.
I want this to stop.
Yeah.
But again, I never thought about hurting myself, which again, I say is something that's just unbelievable, because I spent in that bubble for like 6 months straight without being able to. If I did leave the house, it was just around the corner, and it was like terrible. So obviously anxiety comes with depression. I was depressed. I was anxious. I didn't have a purpose.
Drinking.
I didn't know where I was going. I was drinking a lot, which, as you can imagine, it was my only escape.
And do you think that's common with a lot of young men?
So I think
because I see it a lot.
So I'll be honest, and you told me about the UK as well, but me especially in my country, alcohol is like, you're basically born with a bottle. Like, you know, since you're young, it's always like promoting about going out and drinking, and I mean, yeah, it's fun for how long it lasts, but the effects and all the problems it brings you, and how, you know, the people that ultimately you surround yourself with, that support that every single weekend, is a reflection of who you're gonna become.
Because were you in that circle then? We drinking, partying?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And
you were in that world.
And I'm gonna be honest. Like, I have some great friends I met along the journey.
Yeah, of course.
But out of all the
anyone
friends,
you want to shout out who's watching this?
So I want to shout out to a couple. Put me on the spot, but I think David and a guy called Eduardo.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Shout out to David and Eduardo.
Those guys have been since day one, and you know, they people who are focused and stuff. David has been just exceptional throughout my journey. That was another angel in my journey, because once I was dealing with all this situation of anxiety and stuff, he was literally the only one that was there back then.
Says a true friend.
So says a lot. And now, you know, we keep in touch. Every time I speak with him, it's like
no time has passed.
You know, like literally no time has passed. But anyway, let's say, excluding them, all my other friends, guy friends, I can't really think who they were or how they are or what they're doing, because we just separated throughout the journey, which that's crazy, if you ask me.
Was that hard to come to terms with? Because I've been through the same process of, I lost a lot of pretty much every high school friend that I had, and for a time I was like, feels weird. Kids I've grown up with, people I've grown up with, but then you realise you're on different paths.
Exactly.
So how did you?
No, I think I have to ask you that same question to you, because I'm thinking, you running the business that you own, following, let's say, the lifestyle that you live.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Because I know that in a way you do feel like, oh, you know, I miss them a bit. Not now maybe, but when you start to focus on yourself, focus on your path, focus on your goals, you see all these people going out, and I'm not saying that you feel like, oh, I wish I could be there, but you feel certain type of like. How does that make you feel, or made you feel back then when you knew you were different?
So that's a very good question. So before I found you, Diego, you, Tom, Mark, Spencer, Elliot, and other Nabil people in business, Junaid, before that, it took me a few years. I went through a process where I had like one or two friends. Yeah. And I literally remember. So when I guess that way, mate. No. But I was starting eGrowth Media, so I didn't really have any entrepreneur business friends. I wasn't. The world that I think we're both in now is like business, growth. We've got a lot of positive people around us. Yeah. But I remember starting out, and I remember it was lockdown, and we came out of lockdown, and everyone was going out, everyone was doing this, and I was locked in my room, building eGrowth. I remember studying the courses, doing all this, and there was times I was like, it'd be nice to have that group and be that normal 20-year-old at the time who's going out, getting drunk, doing this, doing that. So there is times, and there is, when I slow down, I'm like, you know, you see lads going group holidays and all this kind of stuff, and there is a part of you deep down, certainly, that you wish you were there. But then at the same time, I'm thinking, in life you can't have it all. You know, do I want to be part of the pack mentality, which is go to your job, go to the pub on a Friday, get pissed all weekend, go back on a Monday, and that's it. Sniff a few lines, do this, go chat to a local girl, and that, you know what I mean? That's, for me, that's not life. Yeah. And the life that we've chosen, the business, the entrepreneur route, is lonely. I think it's lonely. But I've made a lot more conscious effort to build my network, and now I've got good people in business doing things who are just similar-minded, of all ages. You know, shout out to Steve Paddo. He's a good friend of mine. Yeah. We go out together. Yeah, no, he's like double my age. Yeah. But your circle as you change naturally changes, but the transition is hard.
Yeah, I love the saying that you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with.
It's the truth.
And you know, sometimes when you say that to people, like something clicks.
Think about it.
So true.
Think about it. Imagine if all like Spencer, Tom, etc. Imagine if we were all crackheads and drunks.
Yeah.
You'd be the next drunk.
Of course.
But you see, we're all pushing and striving for bigger things. You're not gonna sit there and you turn up drunk on a Wednesday night, which you have done before.
Yeah, of course. But
you know, if we're honest,
and
we've had conversations about this, but I think it's good to be honest with each other. And I'm looking out for you as a friend, that you want and deserve better. And I can't wait for you to tell people what you're doing and your plans for this year, which we won't go into now. But my point is, you've transitioned nicely, and I've seen you grow. And I want to talk about your growth as a person. But before we do that, tell them about the story about the nightclub. Because
the nightclub, the place,
in Newcastle,
so
because before you jump into eGrowth, I want to talk about where. So you came to England and then what? Okay,
so this is how the story goes in terms of my experiences and I guess my expectations back then when I came to England, right? So of course I came here, just my mom, dad, my sister, basically knew no one more than the guy that my dad kind of knew about, but again, it's not my friend, is it? So in that transition of time where I came from my country, I was drinking a lot, partying, it all stopped abruptly. Like there was no more going out because who am I going to go out with? There was no more...
You didn't want to be the weirdo by yourself?
I didn't want to be the one in the bar by myself on a Friday evening. But all of this started to happen, so it naturally just made me change the way I saw things, started to do things. So I said, if I have all this time by myself, I think I can put it to work in something positive.
Yeah.
So I started reading more. I started working out more. I started to be more thoughtful and mindful of the things I was doing, etc., etc. But again, meanwhile, this was like maybe like a year without me not doing, let's say, anything work-wise. I was just working on myself.
Yeah.
And in that year, that's where I think I made the biggest change of my mindset, mentality. I knew where I was going. Kind of like I knew I wanted to start something. I knew I wanted to work, but had no
vehicle to get you there.
No vehicle to get me there, which I think that's what happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, they want that end result here.
Yeah,
but don't know how to get there.
They want they want money. They have an idea of what money is, which I could say money is way more different once you have it and once you start making it, because everyone thinks about doing it, but it's not about doing it because everyone can generate just make money, but it's about maintaining it and putting it to work and using a network to grow and stuff. But that's another topic. What I'm trying to say is that year just helped me a lot to improve. Now we moved, when we came here, we spent a few good months in London, which by the way I like, but it was too fast paced. We then moved to Newcastle, and in Newcastle I met a couple of people which again, they were not my friends, it's just people I knew along the journey. And I remember one of them saying, "Oh, I know of an opportunity. If you want to work in something." I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's give it a go. I don't know what it is. And they basically sold me the dream as in it's like a cleaning business, right? Again, bear in mind, I've always been used to just using my dad's money. Never had something for myself. So I said, I'll give it a go. It's time for me to have some of my money.
Time to graft.
Time to graft. Time to have some, be proud of what I've made and be able to spend money I've earned with whatever I had to do, right? So I said, cleaning can't be that hard, right? So I remember the day I left, because this was the person I met was in Newcastle. Then I came back to Huddersfield. And that's where this guy called me. So we kept in touch. He said, "Oh, come to Newcastle. There's this opportunity." I said, "Okay, let's go. It's the cleaning business I'm talking to you about." So I go there. I pack my stuff. I take the bus. Didn't take the train. I took the bus.
Oh, the coach.
I took the coach.
Did you?
I'm nothing against buses or anything, but it's a different experience, right?
It is.
Let's be honest.
Fucking hell,
so I take the bus. I go there, and again, long story short, once I get there, I figured, like, they tell me you're gonna be living in this house with another 5 people that are workers of this company. It's a cleaning company, and I was like, right, is this how life gets? Like, this is a bit unfair, but it is what it is, right? I'll give it a go.
Did you get a proper reality shock when you put your gloves on?
Because again, well, it's not even that. The reality shock was the next day, so the shift started, right? And this is how every single shift after that was. But basically, how it was is they picked you up at 7 a.m. in the morning. Then you go with like a group. It's like normally it's 4 or 5 people. You go in this van, and it's different.
Little army.
Literally, little army. You have your cap. You have your mop.
Mop in hand.
And off you go. But basically, it was like in the morning from 7 to 9 it was a restaurant. From 9 to 10 or 11 was a pub, and so on and so forth. But the first day I was there, obviously, as I was a new one of the group, for the first month, which I just lasted a month in that job, hence-wise, I was the leader of cleaning toilets on my crew.
Chief toilet cleaner.
I was the chief operator toilet cleaning in my crew, which was...
You're the big boss, big jefe, yeah?
No, but yeah, you know what? I can say it was one of the few times in my life where I've said, I'm dealing with a shit experience, but this goes way more. How can I say it? This is just an experience that I need to live it. I need to experience it for some reason.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying
I need
to say.
to do it.
I remember one day I was cleaning the ladies' toilet by the way, and let's just say it was blocked, completely blocked. It was terrible.
The ladies' toilet.
The ladies' toilet. It was full of paper, full of shit, basically. And I said to the guy that was like, you know, the manager, I said, look, I don't know how to clean this, and I don't know how to, because the thing that you push,
the plunger
didn't work for that. He just said,
so just so the viewers can see, so the toilet is full.
You know that the toilets like in clubs it's like
cubicles.
Yeah. One of them cubicles, they were all terrible. And I'm talking about men and girls, but ladies ones, for that day, it was just one of them was just completely blocked, but in a way that, you know, I'm literally having like PTSD of seeing that. And it's not about, oh, you know, you've been a bit picky. I'm saying it was
bad too.
And what happened was worse. So this is the point of what I'm trying to make right now. So I said to the guy, look, I can't clean this. This is not working. I've tried with other things. It's not working. And he said, you'll have to put your hand. And I said, where's my glove then? He said, there's no glove. So the guy literally makes me,
no way,
just like scrape literally whatever I could
with your bare hand.
With my bare hand. And then I knew that day that was like my breaking point of saying I can't continue on this job for long, right? But then again, that happened that day, and then days after that, me mopping, doing whatever I had to do, I was always thinking like, this experience is building me for something else. Either it's making me be more resilient, either it's making me be more thoughtful.
There's a lesson in this.
There's a lesson in what I'm going through. And then again, I just want to say this because I think it's very important. I've always lived by something that, you know, Steve Jobs used to say, that goes kind of like what I'm going to say right now, which is basically everything that happens in your life is like small dots that later on, once you connect them, they all make sense. They all have like a perfect sequence,
yeah,
and ultimately a meaning in your life. So that happens. Obviously, I had that job. Then after that, of course, I had a very bad taste of how life and jobs were. After that, I decided to go back home. My family used to ask me, "Oh, how it went?" I said, "Oh, it went great." But
you'd be crying inside.
Yeah, but I was crying inside. You know, no, but I was like, "This is not for me, right? I can't do this for long." Then I started working in a coffee shop. You know, just I was serving coffee. Then I was a waiter. But then again, I thought, this is not for me. I mean, I appreciate the people that do that type of jobs. I'll give it to them. But this is just I'm not meant to be here in this type of jobs.
Yeah.
But then again, I didn't know what I wanted. So that's why I decided I'm going to start studying. I'm going to go to college and then uni, or just uni straight away. And I started to see these courses until one day, out of nowhere, my mom tells me, Diego, there's a family that has invited us to a birthday party. Let's go. Let's meet some new people. You can meet, I've heard there's this guy similar to your age. He can speak Spanish as well. So just go ahead.
Might be a friend.
You know, might be my friend. I said my first friend. So
best friend.
Let's go. So I said, okay, I'll go. And that's where, let's say, not in a weird way, but that's where our story starts.
Yeah.
That's where I go to this party. Again, no expectations at all. In fact, that day I was a bit drunk as well, because I said, you know, might as well just kill the pain this way. So obviously it was
always drunk.
Always drunk. No, but seriously, I go there, and then obviously I met you. We had a quick chat.
Yeah.
You asked me a few questions like, oh, what are your aspirations, what you're looking for. Told me a little bit about your business. Again, I was not interested at the time because I had no clue what social media was, what property with social media was. I had no clue about anything. But again, I've always been the guy if I have an opportunity, I'll take it and I'll do my best and see how it goes. And now we're 4 years and a half, almost. 4 years since I met you, let's say. 3 and a bit.
Yeah.
And then I've been working in social media, property, and what we're doing now in every other thing that we've been able to do so far.
I want to add something. So just so you'll see, I remember meeting Diego. I remember meeting you, and first of all, I thought this guy looks fucking old. I thought you were like 30 years old, and then we had a few conversations.
Yeah.
We went on a drive. We met Aaron, and I remember saying these exact words to my dad afterwards. I was like, "There's something about this Diego. I don't know what it is, but he's got potential. There's something there. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I just like the way he carries himself." I remember saying that, and then because you didn't just come in and get a job. You grafted, and I think you've been a bit too humble about what you've done and what you've achieved, so I want to dive a bit deeper into that. But you started essentially for free, just to get the experience. You did a few courses, you shadowed me a little bit, didn't you? He came in his 3-piece suit with his tie, looking all smart like his first day at high school. But I wanted to talk about the journey and the ups and downs that we've been on, but just talk to people about that. So you came in for free, and then how's that progressed?
So I think it's a funny story now that I look back at it, but at the same time it's a very eye-opening story, because again, as you said, he told me, so maybe this birthday party where I met you was like Friday, Saturday. Then he told me, I want you to be there Monday in my office. Let's see what we can do, learn a little bit more about what we cover, and then we go from there. You see if we're a good fit for you, and
no pressure, no problem
if not.
Yeah.
So I said, which by the way is just small things throughout the journey, right? But I remember putting my suit, but more than that, it's not about the suit. It's about the journey to get to the job, because again, the job was in Leeds. I was in Huddersfield at the time, and for me to go to Leeds, I had to walk with a suit and a backpack, like if I was back in school, in this like steep road. So downhill in the morning, it's like 7 a.m. It was cool. Just walking down. Still, I felt strange because it was a bit of the area. It's just a bit weird, right?
Yeah, for someone to be wearing a suit there.
Yeah, for wearing a suit, just walking down that hill, which I'm not joking. Downhill, it was maybe a good 10 minutes downhill, and then you walk to the train station. The train station is alright, then you go to Leeds. Problem was coming back when the train leaves you exactly where you took it the first time, so then it was uphill at 6 p.m. every single day for I don't know how long, with a suit, your backpack, walking uphill again. But meanwhile I was walking and I was thinking
That's
about
fucking crazy.
I want a car one day. I want to be able to afford a car. I want to be able to pay it straight away, do all of this stuff
and travel
a bit, whatever. But talking about the job, right? So went there, and the team was fairly not small, but for what I was expecting for a social media agency.
Yeah,
it was like, I have an opportunity here. I think I can learn a lot and be part of this bigger picture once it starts to grow and just develop, right? And at the time there was like 4 people.
Yeah, you helped us hire that person who we're not going to name, but we're going to talk about.
Which again, angels work in different ways throughout your journey, but that guy at the time, he was an angel for me in the sense of like,
you learned a lot from him, eh?
I learned a lot. I learned about tenacity. I learned about just kind of like work ethic when there was work ethic there from that particular person. And I learned a lot of things, but in essence, that guy just made me realize that whatever you do, just try to do your best with it, and you'll be able to
do well.
And me having that saying in my head as well, that just clicked because I saw him that he was an underdog as well.
Yeah.
Every opportunity that you gave to him, he was gonna try and make the most out of it.
He took it, yeah.
And I was the same, so we just like we had like a good chemistry, good match.
Yeah.
In that sense,
you were like his, not shadow, but you were his junior.
Yeah, but definitely I was a shadow for quite some time because I had no idea what.
Yeah, of course. You were just there to learn and to graft.
And in property, there's a lot of terms and more than what we do, this is what I love about what I do, you know, in this business is how many people you interact with on a daily basis. Obviously the older people, but it just gives you the opportunity of seeing work, life, and just think differently and apply it to yourself, right? Selling, all of this stuff, like I had no clue what I was doing back then. And yeah, I guess throughout the journey of learning and not having a clue what I was doing, like you always pushed me definitely for even small things. I remember.
What are you gonna say?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the role play.
The role play thing.
Go ahead.
Do you want
to talk about that?
You talk about that because that's funny.
So I said to Diego, I said, look, we're not gonna put you in front of clients because I didn't feel like you were trained enough to hold the frame, communicate, and sell your ideas. So I said, look, let's do some role play together. And I purposely tested him. And what did I make out? That I owned
like a strip club.
Like a strip club in
Marbella.
Marbella. So I was testing him with all these like questions, and I wanted to test his professionalism to see if he would crack. And fuck me, it was hard, wasn't it?
Because in my head, I was really trying to be straight.
Bearing in mind, I was like giving him all these dirty things, and I was like, you need to do this and do that. And I was really testing you, wasn't I? But yeah, carry on.
No, I tried my best. And so obviously, I had to crack. Like, that was not a serious client I would ever have. You never know, right? But yeah, so that happened. But then again, it's just these small things that just added to the bigger picture that, let's say, to the person who I am today.
And the first event you came to in October 22. And
oh god
let's just say you blended into the furniture.
Yeah, no,
it's fair to say. But I was proud of you because you came.
Yeah.
And I could imagine if I went to Salvador to a business event with hundreds of people in a language that's my second language, in a topic that I don't really know about, how I would be. Yeah. So again, I'm massively proud for you.
I appreciate that. And again, all of this, that event itself, like there's a very iconic picture of that event. Of myself, which is a picture that you say that I look like I'm 50 years old. That one with a pink shirt.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just very naturally shy on that event, and again, as you said, not knowing the topics, not knowing how to approach people, how to have these icebreakers with people and joke around, and it was very tough for me. But again, I said I'll just try and get the best. I'll try to do the best I can, and then go from there, right? Anyway. So that was that, and then another couple of things that we did, like when I went to my first content shoot with the client myself, which it's all these small things that just again added to the bigger picture. But in essence, I think that if it wouldn't have been because of that birthday party, because I showed up on the Monday, because maybe I couldn't just,
you could have easily said, you know what, I'm not getting paid for this, I'm not bothered, I'm not going to turn up.
Exactly.
And that'd have been the end of it.
And then again, I had no expectations to where I was going or if that was going to be a career. I'll be completely honest, I thought it was going to be like a momentary thing.
Well, like for a few weeks.
Yeah, I'll see how it goes. I'll earn some money, then I'll
go to uni.
Go into this rabbit
hole
journey that people go normally, that they think that you'll find more money in another job, which that's another thing I've always thought about. People think that because they change jobs they can get more money, but I think if you stay in that single job, even if it's a cafe or whatever it is, and you become the best version of your ability of what you can in that particular job, you're going to earn way more than just jumping around 100%. Jobs, which that's what most people do. They go through job and job and job, and
they might earn 5% more, 10% more if they're lucky. But they're not going to make that astronomical gain. Exactly. That people think it's just not the way it works.
But then again, 3 years in, a little bit more than 3 years now, but more than a business model that I've learned about. I've gained a friend, I've gained a brother, I've gained experience, I've gained knowledge, I've gained other great friends, like big shout out to Tom, which has always been just an amazing human being overall. I've met your sister Lainey, which is just incredible to be around with.
Shout out to Lainey,
my bigger sister. And then people who has left us as well throughout the journey.
We've had people come on the journey, left.
Client wise as well, we've met some great clients that have left. We've met colleagues that have left. We've met
some better than others, some left the right way, some left the wrong way. And
then we've just sticked through thick and thin, because there was a moment in business as well which got very rough. And for me, it was even worse because I wanted to step up, but it was like literally in the beginning of my journey. So I didn't know much about it. But the guy who I was, let's say, shadowing, which played, let's say, a big role back then with the other person who was there as well, that is not in the team anymore, they all left.
Yeah.
So it's literally just me and you.
Yeah.
And
one other person
in the business.
But again, she was foreign speaking. Her first language wasn't English. She couldn't have been a leader.
Yeah.
So essentially it was me and you. And I remember, and I want to go into this. I remember, and I'll never forget when I found that news out, that this person had been setting up a business in our office, trying to steal our clients and using our work to get business. And I thought, this is fucking insane. And I remember, and I'll never ever forget this, I had to call round, I don't know if I told you this, but the next morning when I found this out, I had to call every single client, and I said to them, look, I'm not going to be able to physically deliver. I don't have the team to physically deliver on what you're paying us to do. Yeah. So we're going to have to pause, and if you want to leave, and if you need to leave, I understand. I get it. But they all at the time stuck with us. So again, massive thankful, and you as well. Mate, you'd just been in the business, you're seeing this chaos, you're seeing the business was literally crumbling in front of our eyes. Client, the person had gone and done this and done that, the other person was leaving, like the team was just disintegrating, the business couldn't function. Everyone was like that. Yeah. And you could have easily been like, you know what, this is not for me. Yeah. And you could have easily jumped as well. And
I remember like seeing you, like I don't tend to see you stressed normally. Like you keep yourself collected most of the time. But back then I saw that something was wrong. Something was just not right with you. You were very stressed. I was like, anyone can be when business is not going well. But still like that, all of these experiences have just led to this amazing journey about getting to know you in tough times, getting to know you in good times. Traveled, as you say, the UK in every single way possible. And along the journey, again, we've lost a lot of things. We've gained a lot of experience. And what can I say? Now I think that for what's coming, I'm very excited for the future. Yeah. I'm very, very excited to, as I told you, and I've told you this before, create opportunity for more people to work. I think that's something that I will always want to do. Yeah. Whilst I create something that can obviously help my closer circle and ultimately grow my business as well. Yeah. But I think giving opportunity to people, and growing myself and growing with others, and having this close friend group I have now, I think it's just, I have everything I need, I would say, right now. Yeah. I have people who thrive, I have people who focus, I have people who want the best for each other. Because again, I'll be honest, before I think my circle I had was the typical circle that tell you, oh yeah, go ahead, we want to see you do this, but at the same time, it's
don't really care.
This is a small dog. Yeah. There's.
Oh, well, as soon as you leave the room, his business is gonna fail.
Exactly. So, but now I genuinely feel I have a group of people surrounding me that just empowers me to give my very best. Thrive in business. Yeah. Tells me if something in my business is not right, do this, do that.
Try this, try that.
So, just excited for
what's to come.
For what's to come, ending this year strong, and just doing more business together, I suppose. Absolutely,
we've done a lot of workshops. We want to do a lot more stuff, and there's a lot more business opportunities we're going to have.
Absolutely.
You know the way my brain works. Yeah. I'm always looking at opportunities, so there'll be something we do together, more than just a joint venture. But for me, I just want to say thank you, bro, from the bottom of my heart, because it is rare you meet, and you've been incredibly loyal to me when you could have left. Yeah. You know what I mean? You could have easily thought, fuck this guy, I'm going to go do this, this and this. And that's it. But you've stuck by me. You're the longest serving team member at the moment. You're just your loyalty, the way you turn up to work, the way you are with clients. I have clients coming to me and tell me how amazing you are. And just what you do, you go above and beyond. I've taken you all over the UK. Yeah. You've been getting content. You've even spoke on stages. So for me, I'm just grateful to be doing this journey with you, and for me to see the guy that you were when you came through my doors 4 years ago. Yeah. To the guy you are sat now today is a different person. You should be so fucking proud of yourself.
No, 100%.
I'm proud. I'm really proud of you, bro.
No, I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And likewise, just want to say thank you for just everything. I think, as I said, I'm more than working in this business is the friendship that we have outside. You know, the way that we are, the way that we do things. And meeting someone like that is very rare nowadays. Because we have very strong similarities, but at the same time we have things that we're not so alike, which I think that's what makes us be even closer together.
Yin and yang,
Yin and yang. But yeah, the opportunities, everything that we've done, I think we're just starting, to be fair, into what is a big future ahead.
Every year is just like
literally every year has been better, every year has been stronger, every year something new comes up, and you smash it, I smash it on what I need to do. And now I just want to say for myself, just as a reminder, keep myself accountable, I want to make sure that build in the next year or 2 years something together. A nice business, a strong business, a good business model. And ultimately, next time that we do a podcast, I want to be talking about this business. Once we have a chat about it,
I'm there for it.
And then
I always said, bring me the option, and I'll make it happen.
100%.
And we'll make it happen together.
But yeah, no, just say thank you.
No, thank you, man.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for being there when I had needed you the most as well.
I appreciate it.
Let's see what the future
I've had
holds.
a few situations with women before, haven't we?
Yeah, well, it's been a bit of a
and you've been there as well.
Let's say we've all been through a couple of things, but we've
got through it.
We've sticked through thick and thin all the time, and I just want to say thank you for that. So, my brother,
love you've heard it here from the man himself, Mr. Diego Bolanos, all the way from El Salvador. Diego, thank you for coming on. We'll do another one of these in a year. See where we're at. But yeah, I'm just completely blown away by your story, and I think everyone else should be too. So,
appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, man.
No, thank you. See you in the next one.
Yeah.